This will be an ego boost for some of you because in this video I'm going to show you that you can do a lot with something this small. I've looked at a lot of these mini PCs lately, and it was this one, the Geekom A7, featuring the Ryzen 7000 series CPUs. We've got two different options on this one. You can get it with the Ryzen 7 7840HS or the Ryzen 9 7940HS. Now this PC is tiny, sleek, it's got a pure metal case, it's beautiful. I cannot believe how small it is. It made me realize that the era of tiny PCs is upon us. We're going to be playing our AAA games very soon on devices that are 1/50th the size of our giant computers. Now they're not going to completely replace those, of course, but a lot of people are going to be able to get by with a tiny computer like this, especially for someone who wants to be able to take your computer from place to place. Thanks to Whokeys for sponsoring this video. Now these are OEM Windows keys. That means that you do your own tech support. You're not going to be relying on Microsoft, and they're generally locked to the hardware. We got a coupon code. Click on buy now, put in coupon code TS25, hit apply, and that price comes down to $17.19. Now when you compare that to the outrageous prices from Microsoft, you'd have to buy this many times to equal the price of one regular key from Microsoft. As of right now, this Windows 10 Pro key will unlock Windows 11. We also have Windows 10 Home, Windows 11, you can buy it directly, Windows 11 Home, and we have two flavors of Office. Once you're finished, all you have to do is click on your user account up here, go to your user center, click on My Purchase Orders, just View Keys and Codes, then you can just copy and paste your key, hit Start, type Activate, click on Activation Settings, paste it in there, click on Next, and you will be activated. So head on over to Whokeys.com to get yourself an OEM Windows key at a price that makes sense. The first thing I want to do is cover the specs, starting with the size. 112.4 by 112.4 by 37 millimeters. That's it. It's 37 millimeters, 35 to 54 watts TDP, depending on what you're doing. Oh, I want to note that they did give a $20 off coupon, so that'll be in the description. You just go either to Geekom's website or even on Amazon. Text CindyA7. Just use that and you'll get $20 off. Or if you're in Australia, it's $30 off. Your money's worth less. I don't know. 20 pounds off in the UK, so you're getting a better deal. All the official links are going to be in the description for this. They didn't pay for this video or anything, but just wanted to let you know all that. You got 8 cores, 16 threads, 16 megabytes cache. None of them are efficiency cores or anything like that. They don't do the Intel thing. These are all just full powered Ryzen 9 cores. And then the Ryzen 7 is extremely similar because you still have 8 cores with 16 threads, but it's only clocked at 3.8. You know, the 8 core is going to be great for processing and stuff. You may need that extra 200 megahertz here and there for some games, but not for many. Plus, they both have the same GPU, the AMD Radeon 7800M graphics card. The last video I did was on an i9 based PC that's about the same price. They're both mini PCs, but the difference in performance between the integrated Intel UHD graphics and the AMD Radeon 780M is night and day. You can kind of game on the i9. You can actually game on the Ryzen. This has DDR5 and you can get up to 64 gigabytes. You got 2 sticks in there that you can replace. I've got it equipped with 32 gigabytes of DDR5 memory at 5600 megahertz. And then we've got a slot on the inside for an M.2 NVMe. 2 terabytes is what I have in here, but you can get it different flavor formats. You've got Windows 11 Pro pre-installed. We got Wi-Fi 6E, and then we also have Bluetooth 5.3, so all the newest stuff there. On the front, we have some USB Type-A ports. Those are USB 3.2. And we also have our combo headphone mic port on the front. Please put those on the back. Please, please, please. That's just me. Does anybody else feel that way? Let me know in the comments. But I really want my ports in the back so much that I'm going to buy a USB audio card to plug into the back so I don't have to have a cable running around to the front. Let's look at all the ports on the back. So we've got a couple of USB Type-C ports. Those are USB 4, and those will support some 4K displays. Then we've got a couple of USB there. So you've got another USB 3.2. Then in the middle, we've got 2.5 gigabits per second Ethernet. Then we also have 2 HDMI 2.0 on the back. So it'll support up to 4 displays with this crazy graphics card. In the box, you've got your power cable, user guide, thank you note, and it also comes with an HDMI cable. Looking at the sides there, one side has a vent and the other side has a vent plus an SD card reader. Now, if you want to get under the hood, you have to remove the feet. They come off with a little bit of pressure. They are stickied on there pretty good. They do go back on, luckily, so you can just pull off the feet, and then there are a few screws to unscrew. Once you do that, there's another shell on the inside. This is smaller. It's not as easy to take apart as some of the other units that are a tiny bit bigger, but, you know, size is a thing. So once you take off the shell on the inside, you have to be very careful when you lift that off if you want to get access to the RAM, the M.2, and also the Wi-Fi card. because the antenna is plugged into the actual shell that's on the back. So as you're raising that off, be careful. It was way too easy to pull apart the antenna. So I had to meticulously try to slowly plug it back in, and it was very frustrating and difficult because of the way they have everything taped down. You may end up having to go through this little 10-minute struggle I went through where I had to plug the Wi-Fi connector back into the Wi-Fi card that's plugged in. I might just remove the Wi-Fi because I'm not going to use it. I use, everything plugged in through Ethernet. So if I remove that, maybe I can install something else in that slot. That might be cool. But for a lot of you, I would suggest just picking it up, using it as is, get the version that has 32 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabyte SSD, and you're good to go basically forever. And if you need extra storage, just run an NAS. All right, let's do some canned benchmarks. Then we're going to come back and talk about gaming. That Radeon is equipped with some RAM. It's not normal to see this much RAM on an integrated chip. It's wonderful. Yes, just absolutely wondrous. They're using the Acer SSD, the N5000, so it's kind of cool to see that under the hood. Nice name brand for that. Here's all the details if you want to just have a quick look at the graphics card and all the just optical drive. No, there ain't no optical drives. And Windows 11 Pro, of course. Shock and awe, ladies and germs. I've messed around with the 780M before, but I have not messed around with it paired with the Ryzen 9 7940HS, especially not in a machine this small. This is ridiculous. As you can see on the high setting, we've got 69.7 FPS with Unigine Valley. You can try this out on your own and just see how fast it is on your system. Windows 8, I don't think it's getting some information correct there. I can't believe how quiet it is because it's so small. I expected it to be much louder than this. Like right now, it's a very dull whisper. I don't really hear it over a lot of the background hum. It does have a slightly higher pitched whir, but that's how it is. Next up, superposition. Also very respectable results there, which you can see the min, max, and average. I ran this on medium because this taxes everything. Probably turn this up to high and do another pass, but yeah, this is what I'm running it on. I want to make sure there's no bottlenecks, and there shouldn't be on medium. Cinebench R23, and you can see this tiny Ryzen 9, even though it's the 7940HS, the small, it's getting really fast. Look at this. It stacks up really nicely. Again, if you want to test it against your system, 15,218 points right there. Now let's take a look at Geekbench. And again, for everyone playing along at home, what I'm going to do is just scroll down the page. We'll start off single and multi-core score 2702 and 13,582 for the multi-core score. I'm going to scroll down through this. So for all of you playing along at home, testing your systems to see if this is faster, even though it's probably 1/50th the size of your computer, you'll have to pause and just take a look and see, like how it compares in every different thing. There we go. And then over here for the OpenCL score, this is testing the GPU. And there we go. This one pulled out the correct operating system. Microsoft 11 Pro, there we go. Scrolling on down. Pause it whenever you see something that you want to compare. All right, there you have it. Those are our canned benchmarks. Now it's time to try out some games. So, how do unoptimized games play? I hear you ask. Well, let's try out some Cities Skylines 2. All right, so we're getting 17 to 20 FPS. Not so good with a little city we've got built here. Yeah, it's a little bit rough. So let's go in and see what our options are. This is the same settings that I use on my main rig, so they're probably a bit high. Let's go ahead and bring a couple things down here. Turn down some of the global illumination and all that. There we go. Shadow, I do want shadows, but they do cost a little bit. And then overall level of detail. And then texture quality, we'll do medium just to make sure we have enough RAM for everything. All right, now let's see what we've got. And it is identical. This game is terribly optimized. Now, can you play it like this? Since it's a strategy game, I mean, it runs better than a lot of the stuff we used to play back on the 486 or whatever, or back on our old Pentiums. Some of those games ran at like, I don't know, 4 to 15 FPS, but they were strategy games, so it's going to be up to you. This is a bit choppy for me. I'll play it on my other rig, but Cities Skylines 1 will play just fine, and once they go in and fix some of this stuff, maybe give us some LODs for these crazy high polygon counts that we have here on the street. Yeah, this is cool. I thought that was a horse. That's just a person whose silhouette looks like they're a horse from a distance anyway. And once they crunch some of that down, maybe it'll be a little bit better, but the polygon counts on the individual people is probably a bit too high. So yeah, it's just not optimized. Kind of playable, and way faster than the Intel i9. Far Cry 5 came out a couple of years ago, but it still looks really good, and it's optimized well. So let's try that out. I'm going to come in here to the options where we have our, and then I'm going to run everything. You know what? Let's turn it up to high and just see what we can do. Ultra. You don't want to be crazy? It says we've got enough VRAM. All right, we're doing it. We're loading up Ultra right now. I don't think this is going to work. Okay, either this little thing is extremely fast or this game is optimized very well, or a bit of both. Because on Ultra, we have not dipped below 38 FPS so far. We're going to get some explosions coming up here pretty soon. But so there we go on our Ultra settings. You can see our average was 40. So I do not expect to play this game on Ultra. So let's go back and I'll do a couple more benchmarks with some more reasonable settings. Now with the Intel, I had to try it just on the lowest setting. So I'll do high and then I'm going to do low just to see what the difference is. All right, so that was only slightly better than Ultra with 42. So let's crank it down to low and then see what we get. But as you can see, we're never dropping below 37. So it's better than a console experience in my opinion. All right, so doing it on low is what I did it with the i9, and it couldn't really play it. I had to go down to 720p. We'll do that as well just to see how much faster this is than the i9, but I'll do that in a separate video where I compare the two. But so far it's looking like the AMD is just better in every way for the money. Okay, with all these results, I mean, if you really want this to never dip below like 30 something, 37 was the low on the high setting, then you can play it on low, but I really think that playing it on just the high setting looks just fine, and the performance is so similar between all of them. I'm just going to play it on high. So we're trying it on 720p low because when I had the small i9 mini PC, I did this test, and the only way it was remotely playable was with 720p at the low settings, but even then it was not. It dipped below 30 quite a few times. So if you want like extreme performance and you have a small screen or whatever, you're traveling and you've got like a portable 15-inch screen, then you can play it like this and it'll look pretty good and play great. I mean, is anybody even playing this game anymore? It's got a nice canned benchmark, so it's good, because if you had this, you can do this canned benchmark on your own and just see how your 1080 or 1050 stacks up compared to this. You can see average 80, never dropped below 70. Pretty good in my opinion. So here we go. Minimum FPS dropped to 28 with the i9. Yeah, and then you can see there's our average. When you compare that to what we got with our AMD, let me just jump back into the game here and take a look at that. This is the same settings running 720. I'm always testing Yuzu. This is the Switch emulator, and I'm playing Mario Kart at 1x resolution. We're going to see how this goes. If it's too good, maybe we can turn it up. So it usually takes a minute for the shader cache to build up. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. All right, let's see if we can make our way around this track. All right, yes. We get a couple stutters here and there, but the way this works with these games is there's no shader cache when you first start. So after you played the game for a little bit, it builds up all the shader cache, and then suddenly things will become smooth. So ignore the hitches, because this is my first time loading this up on this machine. Once the cache gets built up, it'll be a nice smooth. Looks like we're going to stay around 50 to 60 FPS. So I would recommend playing this at native resolution on this machine if you want like the full experience, but I'm going to go ahead and crank it up because we're getting a very solid 60. Well, I'm screwed. This game punishes you so much for being good. It's like, oh, you're good? Well, screw you. Okay, 2X is kind of playing. We'll see if it runs in somewhat slow-mo, but this is what I'm seeing with a lot of these games. When I turn it up to 2X resolution, it looks really good, and it's playing at 43 FPS, but something about it is slow. So maybe I need to crank up the CPU or something. It's very easy to control, but I'm playing it in slow-mo. This is bullet time. So we're getting 42 FPS, but the game is just playing slowly. So I'm not sure what's up with that. This is probably something that can be fixed, since this is an experimental thing here, playing at 2x resolutions and whatnot. So play this on native for now, but in the future know that this can absolutely handle playing a lot of the Switch games at higher than native resolutions. Let's try out Zelda. Okay, now check this out. It's running. It's running about as well as it does on the Switch, to tell you the truth. Well, see there when we get those stutters on the bottom, it says building shaders. Once we get to a point where the shaders are no longer building, if we just stop for a second, let the shaders build where we are right now. All directions, it's going to continue to build shaders. This can take, 8 to 10 minutes sometimes, so It's, yeah, once the shader, see, they start building again, it starts stuttering. But when the shaders are not building, it's playable. So I'm gonna let them build up for just a second, and then we'll see how it is. This is the native resolution, so that's why it looks a little ugh. But, you know, it is what it is. We can change the nearest neighbor to bilinear, and that's gonna make it look a little bit smoother, or even to FSR. But I don't like the way FSR looks, so I'm gonna put it back on bilinear. FSR has too much sharpening, so I like it on nearest neighbor for the crispy pixels, but oh, look out. You can also do something called downloading shader cache, but that goes beyond the scope of this video. As long as the shaders aren't building, it runs fine. So you can put up with this for a little bit of time. Might happen in some different areas that have like different effects going on and stuff, but after you've gotten the shaders built up for each area of the game, take a little while, it'll pop back up to 30 FPS. So yeah, if you can handle that, then you should be able to play this. And worst case scenario, you can turn this down and play it at 720p. Let's see if it makes any difference if we do it handheld. See, there we go. Handheld, it brings down the resolution a little bit. And okay, if you play it in handheld mode, totally fine. Actually plays really well. I wanted to see how an Unreal Engine 5 game would run. We're on the medium setting at 1080p, and we're getting around 30 to 35 FPS. It hasn't dipped below 30 just yet. Oh, this is going to be difficult since I'm running at low FPS and I have not configured my mouse. Run. My mouse sensitivity is way too high. It's playable. I would probably play it on like a lower setting, but yeah, it's playable. Still sticking. I almost died. Oh, you nerd. What are you doing over there, you nerd? Now you don't have a head. Look at you. But yeah, Unreal Engine 5 games are playable at moderate settings and moderate frame rates. Not sure if I would recommend a super fast FPS for a system like this, but you know, this is way better than any of the other mini PCs I've tested, so that's cool. The last game I want to try, and I haven't tried it yet on this machine, is Cyberpunk 2077. Let's see if we can play this, obviously with ray tracing turned off. All right, I'm playing Cyberpunk on the high setting, running around. And it's pretty good. A little stuttery, so I'm gonna put it down to medium and then try it out. Yeah, it runs. It's great. Okay, I've also got my FOV set to 90 because 80 feels like I'm looking through a paper towel roll. Doesn't feel right. And medium feels nice and smooth. Here and there's a hitch with some of the stands and whatnot, but it's playable. All right, let's do a little benchmark. Get a load of that, 46.72 average on medium settings. Of course, ray tracing is turned off. Let's do one more test on high. I would play it this way because minimum 39 is totally fine for me since this is mostly an RPG, but I do like to run in with my katanas and have fun like a edgelord mall ninja. So yeah, that's okay. For a system this size, I'm happy with this. And I think it looks pretty good at medium settings. So let's try high just to see how it goes. And I'm always going to turn off motion blur just because I really don't like it. It looks good, but it's getting too close to that 30 FPS for my comfort levels. All right, so 34.06 for the high setting on Cyberpunk. Check out the minimum there. It got a little bit too low. So, you know, if you're really crazy about like overall quality, you probably could come in and tweak something between medium and high. And a lot of the tips here that I'm going to give you are going to have to do with, you can turn off depth of field even though I think it looks pretty good. But mess with your shadow mesh quality and then also your volumetrics are not going to make that much of a difference, but screen space reflections will make a difference. So you can bring these things down just a little bit and then improve the quality of the game. So doing this, I'll probably give you something that's kind of in between medium and high. I think playing it on medium is going to give you the best like gameplay experience just from fun factor and being able to run around and not dip below 30. But yeah, completely playable Cyberpunk. All right, let's have a look at Premiere. See what we can do with this. So let's just stack up a couple things. These are 4K clips here running at half resolution. Let's put them on full and stress things out. There we go. Isn't that pretty? This is totally fine. Fine for editing. Now on my big computer, my 5950X, whenever I do a transition, let me just move that over a little bit. Like if I do a cross dissolve, it'll stutter a few times, but not badly. So this always will show us, you know, just exactly how powerful it is if we can do real-time transitions. I don't think it'll work, but let's try it anyway. I'm about to change my view, aren't I? Put a cross dissolve in here and just see how this looks. If I make it long, it's sure to mess up. All right, let it catch up. There we go. Cross dissolve coming in right there. Okay, that was pretty good. That was substantially better than the i9 that I tested last week. Let's try it one more time. Let's do it at full just to be stupid. No, I mean, I don't edit it full ever. Really? Oh, really? This little machine is this is of the devil. I don't understand why. I didn't expect that. Normally I expect it to be choppier. I'm just gonna do this for a while because I can't believe it. This is 4K footage. Look at all them ports. All right, that's enough of that. You know, Windows 11 drives me crazy and I don't like the new start menu, so I've gotten as far away from it as I possibly can. This is the start menu. Look at this. And apps are separate. So nice. It's called Open Shell if you want to install it yourself. And then you can come down here and pick the start menu style that you prefer. Got some stuff on sale over at Epic Pants. These are the best membrane keyboards you're ever going to use, or I will eat someone else's sandwich. Yep, I'll do it if you don't agree. And they're water resistant. So if you spill something on it, that's all right. Just, you know, rinse it off and let it dry. Anyway, these are on sale for half price. I'm not going to sell it too hard because $19.99 is a stupid low price for a keyboard like this. And one of the reasons I went with membrane is because they do feel nice and poppy. I like them better than some mechanical switches, not all. But the price is good and also extremely quiet. Like quieter than basically any mechanical switch. Even the ones with those goofy bumpers on them that don't feel good. Enjoy half price right now.